Hello everyone, welcome back to Scrape Metal and Roll, the Limited Adhesion podcast. This is a preview episode talking about the upcoming action for Prime Season 10 and our brand new LOA Endurance and LOA Sprint Championships. Joining me this time is two, in my opinion, legendary drivers from the LOA. It's the two McLaret drivers, Chris Forrester and Chris Wight. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, thanks for having us,
well,
Gareth.
thank you, Gareth.
Excellent stuff. Well, let's go in alphabetical order then. So, Chris F., how's your last season's just gone? How have they been?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. I found myself with some extra pace. I managed to get some good qualifying results and some good practice results, but they didn't seem to turn into good results during the racing. I got one or two good results. I think Watkins and things like that. I got a top 5 result, and so yeah, promising pace, but yeah, need to focus more on my racecraft and awareness and causing less incidents. But yeah, overall, I had an enjoyable season.
Good stuff. I mean, yeah, you did crop up on the incident reel quite a few times. Not always your fault. My apologies to you again for Gareth in Prime. Just I think we just had completely different braking points, but it was on me. I think I just didn't predict properly and cocked it up. So I'll blame slight newness of that track for me. So yeah. And Chris W., how about yourself?
Pretty well actually. I guess my aim was to keep out of the incident reel, which kind of almost had a clean slate, apart from our little incident at Knock Hill, Gareth. I think that was my bad.
Oh, yeah.
But apart from that, yeah, I had some good races. One, I think it was Red Bull just behind Russell, wasn't it? I came second place, and you were third.
Yeah, in TCR, that was amazing.
Yeah, and we had a good battle with Ollie Ettridge as well, which was really good. But yeah, fairly good season. I was pretty pleased with it come the end of it.
Yeah, no, and we had some fantastic fights all the way through the season. We just kept seeming to end up next to each other on the grid.
Yeah, it didn't matter if it was qualifying or the race. We just seemed to be right next to each other. But yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, and whichever car as well. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Yeah, and Chris F., a big thank you to yourself for launching the Forest Formula forays on the channel. Really good to see those races coming up. And what have you got for us next on your forays?
Well, I've obviously been looking at the Super Formula, and that's been great fun. That is a superb car to drive. Can't get enough of that car. It's tricky. But yeah, I've moved across to a different formula for the next one that's out next, and that's the Formula Ford. So hot off the press from watching your tips video, I took it to the track and had a play, and initially lost a hell of a lot of safety rating, but I've been slowly making that back and having an amazing fun. It's such close racing and such really good feel from that car. So yeah. So that's at Summit Point in the Formula Ford. Yeah, great fun.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, that'll be up on the channel very soon. And have you guys tried the new Super Formula Light at all?
I haven't.
Yeah, I've had it.
But it does look quite fun, doesn't it? It looks a bit of a handful, but yeah. Chris will probably have more of an idea than me.
Yeah, I had a bit of a practice in the dry, and then we had our test rain race for the LOA. That was with the Super Formula Light as well, and I actually got on quite well with it there. I don't know, just after driving the full fat Super Formula, it just feels a bit flat to me. So I might get warmed up to it eventually, but at the moment I'm sticking to the Super Formula where I can.
Fair dues. Yeah, I missed that test race, but I did have a go in it this week at Hockenheim. And you can take T1 flat out in it at Hockenheim, which is just absolutely mental. So the downforce is slightly mind-bending, really. So, yeah, it felt fun, but yeah, like very, very stuck down. So, yeah, interesting. Anyway, let's talk about this upcoming seasons, because I am so excited about them, because I feel like we've arrived at probably the optimal championship layout that we've ever had. So a brief recap of where we've been in the past. So when we started the LOA, it was just a single championship racing once a week. And then we realised that trying to turn around all the videos, and we were doing the website stuff at the time, it was all too much. So we moved over to fortnightly. And then when Adam Highfield joined us, when we entered GT3s in the gaps, so straight back to racing every week. And that continued for a long time. And then we added the alternative to GT3s, partly because I didn't like them. So hence the USF Championship getting underway. And then the last 2 seasons, obviously, we've done very short races with 2 different cars per night. So 4 championships. So this is a consolidation and getting back to doing what the cars should be doing, in my opinion, which is a strategic open wheel race, longer format with Prime. Then our endurance championship, so doing away with having the names of the cars as being the championships, which I think has been tripping us up for quite a while, having the GT3 championship and the USF, etc., etc. So now we've just got endurance, and then we've got sprint, which means we can alter the cars within those formats, but we're just keeping those formats. Chris F., what do you think about the new style?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it so much. I struggle with the nights where you're racing 2 different cars, not least for getting the practice in the week before. But yeah, I think focusing on a single series each week, it's going to help me loads. And yeah, looking forward to the longer Prime races and endurance races. I've not done any endurance racing really yet, so yeah, looking forward to trying that out. But yeah, no, very excited. Some good tracks coming along there as well. Some really good schedules for all the series, really.
Excellent stuff, yeah. And Chris W., what are you thinking about it all?
Yeah, I think to be honest, we're going to have a golden era for the LOA with you've got 3 different series, something for everybody, even though probably most drivers actually sign up for all of them. So yeah, as Chris F said, some really nice tracks that we haven't seen for a little while. Interlagos is my personal favourites up there, but we've got Phillip Island we haven't seen for a little while. Barber Motorsports, I'm not sure if we ever raced there before in Prime, but yeah, with Prime we have the pit stops, which I'm looking forward to. It brings some extra thinking into it. But if for those drivers that just want to go out and out pace, we've got the sprint series, so they can just go flat out. But yeah, then the endurance, which will obviously have the rain as part of the GT3s and GTPs, brings another dimension to it. So yeah, there's something for everyone, and judging by the amount of sign-ups we've had so far in interest, it's going to be a really good time to race with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to start the conspiracy here that obviously Jules won the Season 4 of Prime, which was the last time that Interlagos opened the Prime Championship, so maybe that's why this one is round 1. Have to wait and see. But yeah, so he has said that he's limited it to 42 slots, and we have well over that already. So
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it'd be a slight first come first served if we start seeing those numbers too much. So yeah, look, why don't you guys sort of talk to me about Prime, and obviously we're racing the Dallara IR18 IndyCar, which means we do get the alternate strategies with the tyres, which is cool. And I think that's the big reason that we're on that car rather than the Super Formula, which you'd probably been quite excited about, Chris. Yeah,
I can't disagree. The IR18 is fun to drive as well. It's it feels very planted and very fast. Although my experience is so far that it is definitely made of paper. Any slight touch and it falls apart. So maybe that's not so good with my my record from last year.
Very quick in a straight line, but I'm struggling to get it to turn, personally.
Right. I haven't had too much trouble with it, but yeah, I haven't got my head around the tyre strategies yet. So yeah, that's something we'll have to get ahead into.
Yeah.
The tyre strategy, yeah, you're going to really have to think about it. Perhaps if you're not confident a track, you're going to take the kind of the more durable tyre rather than go flat out at the start. But yeah, definitely with possibly even multiple pit stops, judging by how the tyres degrade quite quickly in the IR18. Yeah, it's going to bring a lot of strategic thinking into the racecraft as well. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, it does sound like, it sounds like it could be as many as 2 pit stops per race, and you will have to drive both compounds of tyre and start the race on your qualifying compound. So that's going to make, do you go for a slightly slower quali lap on the more endurable tyre and let the alternate tyres sprint away at the start, and then sort of pick your way through when they're going to pit. So yeah, fascinating stuff.
So
Let's talk about.
I'm glad we've sorted out that Chris is going to be the McLaret strategist there.
It can only go wrong.
That's the kind of thing I leave to Russell as well. Let's talk about the other big change for the season then, which is obviously the retirement of Club 1500 and the arrival of the gold, silver and bronze splits. So all drivers will be racing for the gold championship, but obviously there's, based on your LOA rating, which is being used for the first time. I mean, obviously it's been around for a little while now, but that will actually be in use this time, so to actually seed the drivers into silver and bronze splits as well. So I'm really excited about that, because it's going to be a lot less arbitrary and a lot more scientific in terms of which split you're in. Obviously, new drivers who don't have an LOA racing yet will be straight into gold, and then you'll be seeded down as we get some results in and can actually work out where you should be. So, yeah, what do you guys think about that?
Well, it gives us old sweats a chance in the first few seasons at least. That's good.
Yeah, my open wheel rating in the LOA's plummeted actually from way too many incidents in USF last season. So I could be almost threatening bronze at this rate, so which is quite embarrassing. But hopefully I'll recover my ratings soon. But yeah, who do you see then? Chris W., come to yourself, because you've put together a wonderful spreadsheet for us to crib off during this podcast. Who do you see as being like the prime contenders for gold this season?
I want to say, if he makes an appearance, David Line. Is a double LOA champion from memory, I think. Triple. Yes. Yeah, that speaks for itself. Rob Miller, if it wouldn't have been for Alex being so consistent, he's probably up there as well. And probably one I'm going to say is a dark horse is David. I can't remember.
Yeah.
He's been very quick as well since he joined. But this
definitely for the endurance race, I think. Yeah, he's
it'd be interesting to see how he picks up the
efforts in the prototypes.
Yeah, definitely. What about yourself, Gareth?
Well, there's some names that are jumping out at me. So I think David, like you say, because he did say that when he was on the podcast, he was focusing on the LMP, or the Prototypes Championship as it was called last season, but he was focusing on that. But now he's going to have time to focus on Prime. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in the IR18. Obviously, Ettridge is Oliver Ettridge, a standout name in team racing punt. So if he makes a full season, I think he's obviously a very quick driver. Did very well in USF last season. Looking a bit further down though, two names that are really jumping out at me: David Ward and John Cook. So they were both racing in TCR last season. So nice to see them making an appearance in Prime for the first time. So that's really cool. We've got so many cool drivers here. Yeah, Rob Miller, I think, like you say. Dom's always been very quick. Graham Bardsley making a return after a long absence after starting his own business up. So nice to see him making a return. Yeah, and obviously Dave, like you say, he should be back with providing his work quietens down a bit, which is why he's taking a bit of a leave.
Noticed Ryan Tazerski in that list as well, who's was in our USF league, and so he might be a contender for the Prime Series, being probably an IndyCar specialist and certainly familiar with ovals. He might be an outside chancer.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he was quick, and he got a double win in LMP3 at Magny-Cours as well.
Yeah, good
so
shot.
He knows his way around. And Stephen Greening and Michael Messenger no longer sporting the Risky Racing name or Risky Time after that the merger with Sleepy Time. They're now Team Stabby Goose, which I'm absolutely delighted about.
Yeah, you can't put them out of the contention as well. I guess he's finally found that 610 he always said he's looking for, and Messenger, he's quick regardless of what type of car he's driving, so yeah, you can't count them out at all.
No, for sure. And Meren Hugvin, obviously, he's a former Prime champion. He's had to be a bit sporadic with his appearances, obviously becoming a dad, but now he should be back on the grid full time. So, yeah, another exciting prospect.
It all goes to hell, and then he'll be joining us in bronze.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got so many drivers here. This is wonderful stuff, and lots of new names. I'm just going to scroll through and just shout out people who I see are new names. So we've got one Alberto Escobar. Nice to see him. Ben Harrison, he's new to the grid. We've got Timon Slutz, who just made his. He was in the final round of Prime Season 9, so nice to see him again. Patrick Timolti. And who else have we got here? Amori Cesar Pivotto. So, yeah, lots of new names for me to learn and try not to murder in commentary. So, yeah. So that's should we have a quick talk about do you want to run through the calendar, one of you guys, for Prime?
Yes, sure. So the league kicks off for Prime at Interlagos on the 14th of April. Then we've got Phillip Island, Hockenheim, the Nürburgring Grand Prix, which should be a good one as well, especially in these cars. And we've got Road America for our July race. Then taking it home to the Indianapolis. And then we've got Spa, Barber, and then Canada, Montreal, and ending the season at Suzuka. So, yeah, good bunch of races. Have you got any favourites there, Chris, at all?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to racing at Phillip Island again. Yeah.
Which series did we race at in? Gareth would remember.
I do, yeah. Chris, do you know?
Is it GT3?
I don't know. Well, we definitely raced it in Prime. It was when we split the championship into the Club 1500 and top split races, and I won it actually in Club 1500.
Well done.
Hence me remembering. Yeah. So another, it's looking really exciting actually. Yeah, and Barber has got that really weird sort of triple chicane breaking into a very tight corner on the end of it. So that's going to be really, really fun. And no doubt will trip over a lot of people. And we've got the spider to look out for as well. If you've driven there, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I had that as one of my negatives because I can't recall I've driven there before, so that'll be one to learn.
Oh yeah. Well, we've got a hot lap on the channel from the USF 2000 with Tour driving it. So if you want to get an idea of where the corners go, then that's a good one to watch. And then just play it in like X2 speed to get the IndyCar. Let's talk about endurance then. So, Chris, as you said, endurance is going to be GT3 and GTP. What are you guys driving?
So, Chris can blame me completely because I elected to go for the GTP Porsche, and having driven that in the wet in practice the other day, I fear I may have made a big mistake. But it's a very, very exciting car to drive, and I'm sure we'll get to grips with it eventually. But yeah.
Well, high five on the Porsche GTP club because that's what I'm driving as well.
Oh, excellent.
Although this spreadsheet, this can't be right because this is saying that Russell's in the GT3, so I think he's in the GTP actually. Yeah. Bump him over. Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm only in that because he's already been racing with that car and that's the one he owns. So he said it'll make it easier for him having to not paint a different GTP car. So that's the one I bought. I haven't driven it yet actually, so I'm quite curious to see what these things go like. Any tips?
I don't know. When I did my practice the other day, I had to go back a couple of times and double check. I didn't have dry tyres on, but I definitely did have wet tyres on. But it was quite hard to keep on the track. But yeah, in the dry it was fine. It was dry. It was planted and drove fairly similarly to other cars. And what I'd read when I was making the decision, there isn't that much to pick between the GTP cars unless you're at the very sharp end of the racing spectrum. So,
what are they most familiar to? In terms of another Le Mans sort of prototype type car, Are they closer to the LMP2?
It's the first prototype I've driven, so
Oh, is
I
it? You haven't driven?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I don't know, Chris, have you done any practice in the Porsche yet?
No, I haven't. Yeah, so I'm pretty inexperienced with this, unfortunately. Yeah, but yeah, it should be. Judging by what I've seen other content creators publish recently, it seems to be a bit of an animal to tame.
Joy. I better get practicing then. Cool. Well, let's take a little look at who's driving GT3 and names jumping out at me straight away, like Ryan Suzuki, who, as we've already talked about, Ollie Ettridge, Ollie Walker getting a long overdue return. He's had some problems with work clashing with race time, but nice to see him making a return to the grid, our double GT3 champion. So
yeah, he's got to be favourite there, really, hasn't he?
Yeah,
if he's able to turn up.
Yeah, no surprises to see him in the GT3 field. We see David Ward and John Cook, as we already talked about. They're popping up on GT3 as well, which is awesome. And Simon Geimer. Charlie Langridge as well. He's another TCR specialist making an appearance in the GT3s, as is David. And we always call him the Shark because we always murder his surname. So apologies, David. One day I'll learn that one as well. And we've got some new drivers like Marek Kiska. And who else have we got? Joshua Martinez, Mark Kelly. We've got Simon Clifton, Carl Hudson, Aidan Hanlon, and Tyler Graff. So lots of new drivers, which would be cool to see in the GT3s. Graham Barsley, as I said, is coming back. He'll be the Audi R8, so that'd be cool. Mark Innes will be there in Cool Camel. So we've got a couple of Cool Camels there. James Pepper, Mark Innes. Presumably Rich is in there somewhere. And we've got Stephen McCann sitting there. Oh, there's Rich Meesters. And then let's take a look at GTP then. So which names do you guys think are jumping out in this? Obviously, Glugakeki versus Maxwell once again.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yep.
Yeah, those had a strong season last season, so yeah, they're definitely... They're experienced already in this kind of type of format, aren't they? But Don Parker's there. Can't count him out. Will Stupid Aguri get a title this season? Who knows? He has to show up, I guess. He didn't show up for too many races last season, but yeah, he's always quick. Rob Miller opting for GTP as well. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of fast drivers in that field.
Well, Rob's another one he always wanted to focus just on the things he could do. So he would do GT3 and then do Prime, but obviously when it got down to like the multiple championships per night, he preferred to just do the one. So yeah, like you say, he's going to be an exciting prospect in these cars. New names for us here. We've got Daniel Santos Carvalho, sorry, get that right. A Portuguese driver driving the Porsche 963. We've got Sebastian Kolzinski, who's a Polish driver. I see him in the Acura. James Torjan in the BMW. Jacob Hart, Edward Gorner, and Nathan Alul. So some new names there for us to learn. And look at that, Lewis McManaman and Dan Hill making a return. Not in the back markers, they're now in Cubed Motorsport. So nice to see those guys making a return.
Yeah, nice to we'll probably clash with Dan. Of course, he was the Club 1500 F4 champion. Me and Chris were part of a title battle with him, so I'm sure we'll no doubt be around the same places on the grid for that as well. So yeah, welcome back to Lewis and Dan.
Yeah, very nice to see them back, and obviously we wait for their teammate to make a return at some point as well. Oh, Joe, and then we'll have all three of them back. We need a fourth one for them. Yeah, and Russell as well. Obviously, he's going to be someone we can't exclude in the GTPs as well, because he has got the experience with doing these cars. So yeah, exciting to see what he can do.
I can't believe we've not mentioned Tour McLaren. Of course, maybe that's just expected for him. He's at the front of almost every race, but yeah, he'll be quite strong as well. It looks like he's teaming up with Marin as well, so that'll be nice to see them on the grid.
Yeah, it'll be a very strong team, won't it? Although if you ask Tour, he'd just go, "Oh no," he's very self-deprecating. So Yeah. And Chris, why don't you tell us about the calendar for this one?
Yeah,
If you got it in front of you.
I have indeed. So we have, it looks like Imola, we're kicking off. And the race seems to be 90 minutes according to the site. So we're starting on the 28th of April at Imola, and then we're going to Spa, Watkins Glen, and I've never heard of this one, Circuit de la Sarthe. So I've never been there before.
Le Mans.
Of course. And then we're back at Interlagos for July, and then we're at Fuji for our Asian leg, and then we're at the dreaded Sebring, Road Atlanta, Daytona, and then we're at Algarve, one of the new tracks, to end the season on the 1st of December.
So that's Portimao, isn't it? The Algarve.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's right.
I've driven that in PC2, and it's a really fun track actually. There's some of the corners are just almost absolutely blind with the crests and things. So that is going to be a great race.
I was watching the MotoGP there at the weekend. I think it said something like 2/3 of the corners are blind entries or something like that.
Yeah,
And there's some serious elevation changes.
there really are. Yeah, no, it's really fun. Yeah, kind of. I don't know if you guys have driven Lebanon since it became free, but yeah, some of the elevation changes on there are very similar.
Yeah, I'd seen from one of Russell's videos. He's been there a couple of times recently. It looked quite a bit of a challenge, especially in the varying weather, which of course this series is going to have. More importantly,
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm quite fascinated because I've owned Le Mans probably since 2020, either late 2020 or 2021, and I've never even loaded it up in the sim. So I'm quite looking forward to popping my cherry there and doing my first race around Le Mans. I'll have to learn the tracks.
So we don't know with the weather. Are we getting seasonal weather, or is it preset weather patterns that we're going to be getting? Do you know?
I only know for Prime that it's going to be is set to realistic weather. So when the IRA team becomes rain enabled, it will be realistic. If it's wet, it's wet.
Yeah.
We'll have to get confirmation from Merrin for endurance, but I imagine he's probably doing something similar.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
So we'll get official confirmation coming up soon on that, but I imagine Dessay will be realistic. So,
yep. That sounds good.
Yeah. So let's talk about Sprint then, which is going to be in the TCR for this season, and a varied formula of racing as well. So not just 2 sprints or 3 sprints per night. We could have I think there's one with a pit stop and all sorts of things going on. So and this is probably one of the most interesting championships because of that. What do you think, Chris F?
Yeah, the lineup's looking good there. Have we talked through that lineup? Do you want us to walk through that one?
Yeah, go for it, please.
Yeah, so we start off the season with Phillip Island, then to Nürburgring GP, Brands Hatch, Okayama, Road Atlanta, and Snetterton, which is a firm favourite with me. Legacy Silverstone, Donington Park, Red Bull Ring, and then we end with Imola, I think it is.
See, I think that might be my favourite calendar of the 3, actually.
It's a good mix, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some good, strong British tracks and a good mix of international tracks.
Yeah, and I like the varied format as well. It spices it up a little bit, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's going to feel quite... it's probably a bit more realistic to have that kind of variety. So I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to work. Dom's been hard at work on the scoring for that, so the scoring formula should work across the season. So if you go into the one with the single race, it will work out the same as competing in the 3 races, and it won't be a weighting issue for those. So that's good news there. We've got some new drivers. Who we got in this? So obviously we've got Clayton Buller and Daniel Bond from Formula Armour making their return after their debut at Charlotte, the end of the TCR season just gone. Will Brown, who we've mentioned before, he's coming across. Simon Norton, Mikael Hanswick, Henry Shepherd, Keenan Jones. He was in the last season, wasn't he? He was very quick at Long Beach, especially. Carlos Rivera, Neil Todd, Jacob Hart, and Tyler Graff again. So lots of names there. So we got 39 sign-ups for TCR. So that's awesome. Who do you think's your money on? I mean, personally, David Ward. Hard to see past him.
Yeah, David Ward, Ollie Ettridge, and Alex Murphy were on my list as hot picks. But
every time I don't nominate Alex as being the favourite, he gets irritated with me. But he is. I mean, he's fearsomely fast, and we know that. And I don't need to fluff your ego, Alex. You are bloody quick. You know it. But I think personally, David is just. There's something. He's incredibly rapid in TCR. So if he's got a bit of luck going his way this time, then I think he's a firm favourite for the title.
Yeah, because didn't he join us partway through our last TCR season? So he missed the first few races, I think. So given a full season, he might show his dominance.
Yeah, I think he missed the first two, and then he just had a lot of bad luck. Like when Dom just had a little run wide in the feature race at Donington and just sort of skewed across the track and clipped David, and that gave him a meatball. Normally, you wouldn't have thought that contact would have been a meatball, but yeah, just a really unlucky hit. So unfortunate there. So I think he's just had some terrible luck at times. He didn't he get a DQ at Red Bull Ring as well.
Yeah,
and a few things like that. So I mentioned the Formula Armour guys. I'm expecting them to be very quick. John Cook, we know how quick he is, and he's teaming with David Ward across all three championships. So expecting good things from him. Tour, obviously the reigning champion now in TCR. So that's a good stat that you've put there, Chris. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so oddly, he didn't have a pole or set fastest lap last season at TCR. So, and he came away with the championship. So he has got the racecraft and race pace there. But yeah, as you said, he's going to have to hold on to the coattails of David Ward and potentially Ollie Ettridge there as well. He can be quick on his day.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, and Mike Murphy, when he got a pole at Donington, I think, and he is very quick with this car. Although he seems to. I always assumed he was more of a USF man, but he is. Mike Murphy is going to be an interesting one to watch throughout the season. Who else have we got here? Giao Tome. Nice to see him in TCR after being very strong in USF and all three championships, wasn't he, last season? So
yeah, certainly.
Yeah, it's been some drivers have been really quick and improved over last season. I think James Renwick was one. Certainly, he improved a lot over the course of season 9 across a couple of cars. But
he did indeed, yeah. And we've got an LOA original making his return as well. Lawrence Aaron Jenkins. He showed up for a few USF rounds this last season just gone, but nice to see him signing up for TCR. So that'll be good to see, and hopefully he's on top of his medical problems and can race full time. So that'd be great to see. Yeah, nice to see an LOA original back on the grid.
Yeah, excellent.
There's a healthy mix of cars in there as well, or in people's intentions for racing cars. There's quite a lot of Audis, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, it's not so dominant as what I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
The assumption was that it would be very Audi heavy after their performance in TCR Season 2. But yeah, it's nice to see a lot of drivers sticking with what they know, like Charlie sticking to the Elantra. I'm sticking to it. David Ward moving to the Elantra from the Veloster. And John Cook, another Elantra driver. And those guys have helped me with we've got TCR 6 tips coming up on the channel very soon. So those guys have been contributing race replays to me to help explain the tips. Very strongly based off of Damon Mitchell's tips from one of the early
from the
podcasts.
podcast.
Yeah.
They were really helpful.
Yeah, they certainly helped me. I went from near the back to winning the final race. So yeah, I was well happy with that. So yeah, we got quite a few. I've had some additional bits from the drivers I mentioned who have been helping me out with this. So yeah, keep an eye out for that when it hits the channel, because I think it will really help people out, and I'll make sure to get it out before round 1 of the season. So yeah, and we have still got Velosters actually. I was just curious to see. So Simon Guymer's going to race the Veloster, as is Ross Luckhurst, as is Rich Meesters. He's sticking with it. He was in it last season, wasn't he? Mark Ennis going to the Veloster. Actually, Mark, nice to see Mark finally making it to TCR, because he was quite adamant in his dislike for front wheel drive, etc. But he's going to give it a go. So yeah, well done, Mark. Simon Norton's going to be in Veloster as well, as is Ross Luckhurst. So yeah, a nice mix there.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So, yeah, me too. One thing I do want to mention, actually, is there's a lot more detail about the seasons on the limitedadhesion.com website. And please do go and read the new rules. The rules have been updated. One thing that's coming up that's new for this season is penalty points. So we're revising the penalty system, and the penalties will basically accumulate, and at the end of the season you'll have your penalty points will knock off of your championship score. I'm not explaining it particularly well, so I recommend you go over, read up on it on the website. Any questions, do please post them in the Discord, and make sure you understand the rules before you start racing or resume racing, as the case may be. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? About the points change and making the sort of penalty points count towards your championship?
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. I think the introduction of the penalty points was that 2 or 3 seasons ago. That helped massively as well. It encouraged people to race cleanly, or as cleanly as they could, and certainly it's an incentive, even without the new rules. So yeah, I think this next evolution of the rules is a great step forward, and it will. Yeah, I will work even harder to try and reduce the number of penalty points I rack up.
Yeah, I think these rules are going to help, especially if we're going to have a larger grid, or what looks like going to be a larger grid this season across all 3 championships. Yeah, so having these rules in place is just going to kind of tighten things or keep people in check where they might think they want to risk it. But yeah, I'd say they're fair.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big fan of it, and also it does sort of eradicate any. There was discussion about whether some incidents in the final round of one of the particular championships last season, I won't go over it again, whether those incidents could have contributed to the title not going to a particular driver, and this way, this just I think this prevents that kind of conversation having to take place again. So, as I say, all in favour for the change, and I think Jules and Co have done a really good job in coming up with them. So yeah, well, I think that's about it. So yeah, just a reminder of the fun races for the next couple of weekends. We've got Laguna Seca multi-car race. We've got Wet Knock Hill Formula Ford, and we've certainly got Radical SR8 at Spa. So yeah, a few fun things to come up. Oh, and a front wheel drive festival at Brands Hatch. So that should be amusing. So yeah. So I want to say a massive thank you to Chris Forrester and Chris Wight for joining me in the preview for the new championships. So thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for having us, Gareth.
Thanks for the invite.
Well, thanks for you came to us with the idea, and I think it's been a brilliant pod. And yeah, really enjoyed the conversation, and can't wait to see everyone on the grid at Interlagos for Prime Round 1. So that's it from me and from these guys. So yeah, goodbye, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you on the track soon.
See you later, guys. Bye.